Delighted to say that Tom Slater joins me still for the rest of the show, editor of Spiked Online. Tom, I know you want to share in birthday wishes for the Prime Minister, but also you're as perplexed as I am about this whole phase two of this Labour government, because as Trevor Kavanagh, former political editor of The Sun, pointed out, this government said they were going to hit the ground running because there was so much they wanted to deliver, but it turns out not so much phase one. Was anything achieved in phase one that we can point to?
We racked up loads more debt.
Yep, well done.
We tried and failed to make some pretty minor trims to various parts of the welfare budget. A lot more people were locked up for tweets, as far as I can tell. That's carried on unabated, although that's not necessarily directed by the government itself. So,
Isn't it though?
Well, there's suspicions, isn't there?
Yeah. Law and order sorted.
That's been absolutely sorted. Yep, I haven't seen an act of shoplifting for at least 2 or 3 hours, so that's better.
You've been
than it
here,
used
though,
to
be
be.
fair.
That's true. That's true.
Has no one stolen anything from the fridge?
I have, but I didn't want to say anything.
But I mean, I'm getting, illegal migration, that's sorted.
Yep.
I would say phase one, remarkable success. This does remind me ever so slightly. I remember doing history A level, and we were talking about, when everyone had to report to Stalin in the 30s on, pig iron production up 4,500%, and they would just say whatever you just said, whatever, and everyone had to believe and clap, and George Orwell, based, 1984 on a lot of what was going on in Stalinist Russia, where the lies, the propaganda, the nonsense, and that's the territory we are in, isn't it? So this one in, one out migrant deal fiasco, don't worry, it's going to start within weeks, it's all going to be fine. We're going to stop a few families who granted asylum from bringing their families, a few people bringing their families here. Nothing to see here. Everything's fine. Pig iron production is up 4,500%.
It's like that, and yet with the goals are even more meagre and pointless. It's like we've got the breakfast clubs up and running. We've managed to secure a deal with France, which, if we're lucky, could mean 50 people going back a week in the context.
But 50 people coming here with their families.
Absolutely, it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, the fact that he's got to, constantly kind of talk about his successes and then not really have many successes to point to really shows how little has been achieved. And that's one thing. Things have gotten worse in many different measures. We could talk about the economy, certainly. But also, they're struggling to do anything. Yeah. And that's one of the things that is really striking about this
vision
they can't
and no
act
competence.
At all. Yeah. So that's been really
whenever I've seen lists put out by some Labour activists about all the things achieved by Labour, they'll be pages and pages, and it will do things like setting up a review of blah, 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 a commission into that public inquiry into child grooming. Anyone? Where's that? Who's in charge of it? When are they starting taking witnesses? Where, I mean, nothing actually happens.
Yeah, what they have done, and reading and trying to stay awake whilst reading about the reshuffle this week, is that there's been all of this effort put into kind of internal processes. We've got the delivery boards, and we've got the delivery office, and we've got 30 civil servants.
And the director of delivery.
The director of delivery, and the assistant to the director of delivery, and the arbitrator of the director of delivery when he's on holiday. Like all these kind of different kind of positions
they love a
which
job
have been
title,
created,
don't they?
and they haven't delivered anything apart from more of the same. And
do they know
worse.
what they want to deliver? And that's the thing, you get into these existential things, because fundamentally it's like when they announce anything to do with migration, and you just think, oh. No, do you see how you've missed the point? And again, things like, we want the asylum hotels closed. Yes, that's what we'd like. But not to put them into local housing, or as we discussed on the show yesterday, a local, £300,000, townhouse that a family would desperately want to move into. That's not what we want. We want them not here. We want them in a camp, detained, and then we want them not here in another country. It's like they kind of always tackle the other end of the problem. And we were discussing on the show yesterday, it seems to me so much of what they do, they think, like, for instance, the problems in the reshuffle, there was more reshuffling of communications officers in number 10 than there was of actual ministers or cabinet ministers yesterday. No one has heard of any of these people, but they've all abjectly failed. But they think it's a communications issue, and it isn't. It's the policy issue. And this was the same that Kamala Harris, the Democrat candidate to the American election in 2024, and so many Democrats saying, "Oh, it was the communication." No, it was her and what she believed and what she wanted to do, and her track. It was all actual real stuff that people object. People aren't stupid. They're not going, oh, if only I knew more about Labour's achievements, then I would be really supporting them.
Yeah.
There's a reason why you've got Reform of, 35% in the polls, 15 points ahead of Labour, only a year after a general election. It's because people actually want some tangible action done. And they're still not seeing it from the Tories and Kemi Badenoch. They're talking. They're in the right direction on net zero. They're in the right direction on the trans stuff. They're in the right direction on immigration stuff. But they're not there yet. And people are going, no, we've known about all these problems for a long time. We want some tangible, real, factual things that you will do.
No, absolutely. And I think that the Tories have sort of allowed Reform to steal a march on them to a large degree because...
I mean, shockingly so.
So this announcement about net zero, we knew they were going in this direction. Similarly with the announcement about the ECHR, we know they're heading towards that kind of position, pulling out. But because they've insisted they needed to wait months to go through these policy reviews, and on one hand you get that, you want it to be a credible plan.
But why does it take months?
At the same time, you can announce your intention, you can sketch out the details later. So they've kind of allowed themselves to just be pipped to the post by Farage on many different issues, or quite frankly, they just look like they're playing catch-up because net zero, for instance, Reform have been pretty firmly against for quite some time. And we're talking about it when the Tories were just saying, oh, we just need to push back some of the dates. And we need to
by a
fiddle with
couple
some
of
the
years.
targets.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
a load of
helped
absolute
themselves.
nonsense. By the way, if you're getting very excited right now, because I'm sure you are, the Green Party are about to announce the new party leadership. I know, like, ooh, so exciting. Meanwhile, I want to play you back. I played it earlier on just because it makes me chuckle. Keir Starmer, I promise it's short. You know I never do this to you unless it's short. You know the deal. I'm on your side. But, you know, if you want to have a quick nap, 35 seconds, you've got a nap. Just close your eyes. Take a breath. But
you will be able to nod off.
You will be able to nod off. This is Keir Starmer, you know, channeling his inner David Brent, talking about phase 2 of his government that we didn't know we were in phase 1, but apparently we were in. Have a listen and a watch. Or not, as the case may be. Can we not play it? Oh, we can't play it. It won't start playing. Oh, I'm so sorry about that. Oh, well, we'll try and play it again a little bit.
Phase 2 is stalled already.
Phase 2. Are we in phase 3 now?
That was quick.
We might be in phase 3.
Yeah, maybe.
What I love is I want someone to ask him how long is phase 2?
Yeah.
What are you going to get done in phase 2?
Phase 1 went very slowly for me. Felt like a lot longer.
It was a long year, wasn't it? It was a long year and 2 months. But anyway, look, let's talk about that migrant deal fiasco. When the Mail and papers like that, and they put this stuff on their front pages week after week, you know something is going on. Oh, hello! We've just got big news from the Green Party. Zach Polanski has been elected leader of the Green Party. I thought he was the director. No, not him. Not that one. No, not Roman Polanski. Zach Polanski has been elected. Now there was a sort of a duo, current joint leader and someone else. I mean, I don't know their names. Of course, I don't know who these people are. I've got a life and, you know, Netflix to watch. I mean, you know, I've got things to do. I mean, I've got paint to watch dry. They had run as an alternative. And this guy, Zach Polanski, has just been announced as the new Green Party leader. Now, the key thing about him is that he has basically left the road open for doing possibly a deal at some point with Jeremy Corbyn's new party, your party as we think it's called this week. What do you make of that? Because this might be quite good fun to watch, mightn't it?
Oh, no, absolutely. I mean, Zach Polanski was very much trying to, I suppose, make the Green Party a more explicitly left-wing,
I mean, they weren't already?
But I suppose kind of more aggressively so, more clear-cut socialist. I mean, it's the sort of thing where the Green Party, or whatever socialist means these days, but the Green Party has often kind of been able to play both sides. You could kind of pick up some support in kind of rural areas on just pure kind of conservation issues, but you could also pick up votes in Bristol and Brighton for people who feel that the Labour Party is insufficiently left-wing or insufficiently anti-Semitic, as is sometimes the case these days. So he's very much kind of that bent. He calls it kind of eco-populism, need to take the fight to reform, be more brash, very much open to working with your party, the Zara Sultana, Jeremy Corbyn party, whatever it's going to eventually be called, and is also an interesting character. And I use that term advisedly. He's a kind of classic Green as far as a lot of kind of strange, kooky views over the years. Famously, about 10 years ago, he had a hypnotherapy business which he was convinced he could help women's breasts grow through the power of his mind and suggestion. So this is the kind of character that we're dealing with, and it's you know, who knows what could happen. I think people sometimes score the threat posed both by your party and the Greens if they get their act together, because there's a lot of people who think of themselves as very left-wing students and young people.
But do they actually turn out to vote?
Yeah, exactly. That is the question. But it could be a problem for them. And also combine that with the Gaza issue. You are talking about genuine electoral
they're
issues
kind of combining the Gaza party, Jeremy Corbyn's party, and the Green Party. And if he did agree to do some sort of deal, and interesting, actually, just looking at the votes, Green Party membership is about 64,000. The other candidates, who are Ellie Chowns, but also Adrian Ramsey. Adrian Ramsey was the current co-leader with Carla Denyer. They got 3,705 votes. Zach Polanski, this is overwhelming, 20,411 votes. I mean, he's got a big mandate from his party membership. No, exactly. It's much clearer to have one leader as well. I'm sorry,
that job share thing they've been doing.
And you're a small party. I think I'm not sure in so much demand you can't manage the job on your own. But he's not an MP. He's a member of the London Assembly. But it is interesting when you look at the split on the right. With Reform and the Tories, but now there's split on the left between Labour Party, you've got, Green Party, the Labour Party, the Green Party, in lots of ways very similar. And you've got, the Lib Dems as well. You've got, the Your Party, the Corbyn Party, and you've got, the Gaza lot who are going to basically join in with Corbyn. There's quite a lot of splits there, and depending on how much they work together at the next election, their ability to then do the same thing that all previous incumbents of Nigel Farage's parties, their ability to prevent a Labour candidate being elected. I mean, we are in really, I would say, fun territory because this gives power back to the voters.
No, absolutely. I mean, we've ended up with a kind of European continent style array of parties, but under a two-party first past the post.
I never want to change the two-party system.
So it's a really interesting situation. I mean, but part of the problem
but the first past the post system. I mean,
exactly. It's one of those things where that can make it really unpredictable as well, because you've got multiple parties operating under first past the post, which can really make election results difficult to call. But I think this is in response to the fact that the two main parties in particular have failed their respective constituencies. They've completely deserved the drubbings that they've received in recent years, and people are looking around for alternatives. And even though I think this alternative is mental, that doesn't mean that it's not one that some people are interested in.
I try not to be political in this. I do not try. I mean, some of their policies are properly mental. And what's fascinating is they're supposed to be cuddly, the Greens. They're the nice people, aren't they? Because the left is nice. Actually, the policies they push, you think Labour and the Tories are insane on net zero. This lot, wow. I mean, they're borderline, just stop oil. And in terms of that sort of stuff, in terms of what they want to do to control people's lives and to limit people's lives, what they can do, what can they spend their money on, whether they can travel, where they can travel, how they can travel, what they can eat, their willingness to do that is really, it's sinister. All sort of very green environment. All environmental parties are fundamentally, it's that watermelon thing. They're green on the outside, they are blood red on the inside. They are full on lefties.
Well, I think it's even worse than that. I think they just want to drag us back to like feudalism. I don't even think it's a kind of there's some secretive communist agenda so much as it is. They just really don't understand how the modern world works. They really don't understand that people want their lives to get better. They really don't understand that people being able to fly around the world and enjoy themselves is actually seen as a positive amongst the very voters that they claim to want to represent. So it's it's crackers, but it's oddly mainstream.
Fossil fuels as reason why we're all alive this long. I'm 57. I'd have died by 30 if we didn't have fossil fuels because of medicine. And when you go into a hospital, you'll be amazed how much plastic is used, guys. How do you make plastic? Oh, fossil fuels. This phone I've got. Everything we're doing here. This is all from fossil fuels. It's not generated by wind, apart from what we say. It really is mind-blowing. But anyway, congratulations, Zach Polanski. Do come on the show. Love to have a chat with you.
King of the cranks.
King of the cranks. Yeah, that's not going to help me get him on, is it? For goodness sake.
I said that, you didn't.
But you know. Oh, okay.
But look up the hypnosis thing. It's fascinating.
Oh no, I know the hypnosis story. Yeah. Look, I also want to talk also about experts have been calling for a global ban on vapes. They say we've got the data. We know they're not harmless. Issues in terms of there's cancer, but heart disease and things like that. Now, I know you're an ex-smoker. You're now a vapor.
Yep.
I remember thinking, like, well, God, when you finally gave in, you and Chris Snowdon, Minister of Economic Affairs, when you two moved on to vapes, I thought, right, well, they're vapes of the future. I'm really very anti-smoking. That's the one thing I'm very nanny state about. I don't want to be around it. I don't want to smell it. I don't want to, even if you're smoking outside this building, could you stay outside for another half an hour and get it out of the smell of you? You get in the lift and everyone stinks. But, you know, if you want to smoke and kill yourself, it's entirely up to you as far as I'm concerned. It's not my problem. But vaping, I thought, was a great thing because if it fulfills all the urges people have, you know, to actually the actual act of smoking gives you the nicotine hit you want, but it's much safer, even if it's not completely safe. But then neither is drinking a can of Coca-Cola or having a McDonald's. So it seems to me that, or having a drink, you know, it was better than that. But do you think this is just hysteria from the medical profession?
Almost certainly. And actually, there's been a bit of a fight going on amongst public health bodies and medical professionals. In the UK, we've actually been relatively sensible on this up until this point. The NHS was happily saying quite recently that vapes are at least 95% safer, which is almost certainly a conservative estimate. And also, they just work. I mean, the fact that the vast majority of people I know who used to smoke, who managed to get off it, it's via vapes in a way that no other
virtually every smoker I know has moved,
It just works. There is a problem with younger people insofar as some of them are starting to vape. Incidentally, not going on to smoke, just vaping. In and of itself, do you want, you know, kids, particularly if they're under the age of 18, consuming lots of nicotine? Obviously not.
No, but it is illegal for them to buy
It is illegal.
vapes.
You can crack down on that. And also, to be honest, it's in the grand scheme of things, it's a relatively nice problem to have.
In my day, people sniffed glue. No, I mean,
a lot worse for them.
You know, but also it's quite a evidence.
Lethal.
There's a certain percentage of kids who will do these things anyway. What would you prefer that they did?
Exactly.
You know, choose your poison in that respect, isn't it? That's the thing. But just finally, we didn't get a chance for you to come back on talking to Yvonne Ridley, who's a pro-Palestine activist, going to join the flotilla with Greta. She's flying out to Tunisia to join them, and then they head to Gaza. Again, it's just a load of hot air, although it was a lot of wind that have turned them back off. There's a big fanfare of them going out. Once again, Greta, in all of her interviews, spouting as much nonsense as she talks about the environment. I mean, this is a woman who, and she's a woman, not a girl, by the way, everybody. She's a grown woman. She literally knows nothing about anything. She should have spent time at school and not truanting and doing protests. But she's been feted by everybody. But now she's turned out to be a full-on massive, you know, lefty, not just environmentalist, but also every latest fashionable cause. And what a surprise, Gaza is the cause. With a you know, we are all Palestine action T-shirt on, not illegal in other countries, but they basically want to get themselves arrested by the Israeli government, don't they? And they will be taken by the Israeli government. The Israeli government has basically said, we're going to put you in a pretty nasty prison along with terrorists and stuff. You know, the people who you claim you support in Gaza, who are running Gaza for the Palestinian people. Is that a good idea from the Israeli government, or are they just doing propaganda for the likes of Greta?
I think it would be playing into their hands. And
shouldn't they let them just go in?
I mean,
just for a laugh.
The thing is, you can't have just these turnips showing up into a war zone. I mean, it's one of those things where
but they've chosen to do it.
That's very true, but at the same time, you know, what happens if they, you know, if something happens to them and not because of them being kidnapped by Hamas or whatever, they're in the war zone, bombs are going off. I mean, that would then be written up as the IDF has killed Greta, which is probably what some of these people want.
Hamas, I think, would welcome her with open arms. I mean, if there'll be a ruling like, obviously we want to take her hostage and sexually abuse her and torture her and beat her and starve her like we do with everybody else, we take it.
But they can make exceptions, you know.
Yeah, make exceptions because she's a propagandist for us. She's on our side.
They just lost their propagandist, didn't they? The Al-Qassam Brigade, Abeda, whatever his name was, popped. So there is an opening.
There's an opening.
So, you know. And she's very media trained, so it all makes sense. But I think that what they should do is exactly what they did last time, which is absolutely perfect. Yes, you have to intercept them because this is a war zone. You can't be riding up on your flotilla, sailing up, I should say. They dealt with them. They gave them a sandwich, put them on the plane back, all smiles. I think that's what they've got to do again.
Just keep doing it. Just treat them like the little children that they are.
I mean, they have got enough on their plate, and it's absurd and ridiculous, and just it's an expression of vanity as much as anything else, this flotilla. I think the Israelis would do well, and I think probably will do this, which is just to repeat what they did last time, which I think was a great PR win for them.
Do you remember Greta Thunberg being seen coming out with her hands sort of just quite loose by her side when she was being taken to the airport, and as soon as she saw the cameras, she clasped her hands behind her back as if she was handcuffed, but she wasn't. I mean, the woman is a great actress.
She's
a great actress.
But people fall for it, don't they?
They do. They absolutely do. Keep on going, Greta. Keep on trucking. But the longer she's basically, on the high seas in the Med, for me, the better.